week. We're going to start with an empty document. Here. Today is going to be called Focus on the Farming. Alright. So, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is a resource acquisition game. Probably the best way to put it. You know, probably a lot of us have been playing this for a while. And a large part of this game is gaining resources and spending them in specific ways. So, the best terminology that we want to use is farming. And now, in this game, there are many different currencies. Or I'm going to use a development term and use the term incrementals. So incrementals are things that incrementally grow over time. So in this game, off the top of my head, just real quickly, here's a couple of different incrementals that we have. You have character shards, ship shards, gear pieces, omegas, zetas, ship omegas, mods, mod slicing materials, crystals, shop currencies, credits, I think that's basically everything that I can come up with off the top of my head. And so we have all of these things. And over time, we get little buckets. Buckets. Buckets of gear, buckets of omegas, buckets of zetas, buckets of mods, etc., etc., etc. New relic pieces. Yup. Relics. That was on my list for that I wrote up earlier and I just completely missed it now. Thank you. And you get all of these pieces in your different buckets. The most important part of this game is attempting to put all of these incrementals into our characters and our ships in a way that best puts our performance up here rather than down here. Efficiency. Yes. Thank you. So, a lot of these pieces can be gotten in parallel. So, through things like events, galactic war, spending energy, things like normal, Cantina, ship energy, mod energy, raids, even things like arena payouts. All of these ways, or all of these are ways in which you get your incrementals. Some of them you get a whole bunch at a time. Some of them you have to have a prerequisite in order to gain whatever your reward at the end is. So on and so forth. The parts that come into conflict are what you end up having to figure out and decide what is the best course of action for you. So, decisions such as hard nodes or regular nodes, Cantina tunes or relic pieces, mod slicing materials, or more mods. Or even when you're looking at buying from shops, mod slicing mats, versus gear pieces. Or same thing again, character shards versus gear pieces as well. And this ends up calling into a lot of conflict within yourself, and there's a lot of the ooh shiny in this game. This game is designed to have ooh shiny distractions. I like ooh shiny. That works better. And there's several different ways that you can deal with it in game. Obviously, there's the one that CG wants you to take, the route of throwing money at it. Throwing money at it makes everything better. If you don't have money, or you don't want to spend money, doesn't matter. That's the route I take. Time. Time is money, especially when it comes to a game like this. So, with all of this in mind, that brings me to the most important point that I'm going to make tonight. And that is, no matter what you decide that you are working towards, you should have a goal in mind. Before you do anything, sit down, think, put together your pros and your cons. We'll talk about all that in a couple minutes. But just sit down, think about where you want to go, and then come up with your focus. And once you come up with your focus, stay on target. Don't get distracted by the shiny. So, after last week's 3 Ps, I came up with a new mnemonic. Not quite mnemonic, but a new saying for you guys. The importance is focus. So, flow on course until successful. Focus. Exactly. Stay on target. So, with all of this being said, let's talk about pros and cons and how you decide what kind of farming you want to do. And this is going to be a bit of a, hopefully, a back and forth. If you guys have input or questions at this point, please put them in the chat. Let's talk, because farming is an extremely personal choice. I'm like a lot of other content creators. I'm not going to tell you what is best, because best is subjective. There's no objective best team in this game right now. Now that we have gone through all of the Revan, Treya, Malik things, basically, with the introduction of relics, every team with enough focus can do well. There was a team on Reddit this morning or yesterday that was like Relic, Lando, Wigs, and it annihilated this guy's Darth Revan team. So, I guess what I'm really trying to say is it doesn't matter. Farm who you would like to farm, but make sure that when you are farming, you farm till you are done. And I suppose at this point, I'll talk a quick second about that as well. So, done. What is done? Well, by trade, I'm a software developer, and I've been trying to learn agile software development lately. And something that Agile talks a lot about is defining done. Because, especially in software development, done is not something that exists. It's kind of like art. You're creating something that doesn't currently exist, and at some point you have to sit back and decide this is done. In software development, we use different metrics to determine doneness, like features, certain features, or timeline, that kind of stuff. Luckily, a lot of that translates really well into an incremental game such as Galaxy of Heroes. So, with that in mind, what is done is up to you, technically. And so, when you're sitting down and you're deciding that I am going to farm a particular team, you're going to farm a particular team until they are done. And then you're not going to start another farm until they are done. But that done is a requirement that you define. So that done can be anything that anything that you really want, but here are some suggestions. The full squad is G11. The full squad is G12. The full squad is G13. The full squad is Relic 3. The full squad is Relic 7. Or even your done is I have certain Zetas on this team. Hey, that works too. You put gear on them until you have saved up enough Zetas, and then you are considering that team done. Hey. Your life. I can't tell you how to do it. It was OG Lando. It was not young Lando. It was basically if someone had taken 2017's Arena, so Wedge, Biggs, Lando, and I don't remember the other two. It might have been Han Chewie. So it wasn't quite 2017 Arena, but they were all in that like Relic 5, Relic 6. They just absolutely annihilated this dude's Darth Revan. It was amazing. And if you want, I can pull up the video after we finish up the serious talking. So now that we've defined done, and yeah. Yeah, but it was new Chewie, so it wasn't super like old meta, but you know. Okay. With that in mind, let's pull up the game. So, one of the important parts of this game, or of farming in general, is you need a way to determine what you are currently farming and what you are currently not farming. And really, because of focus, there's no in between. You're either focusing on this person or you're not focusing on this person. Amazingly enough, CG has actually given us a really good tool to deal with that, and that is the favorite flag. So if you take a look at my roster, you'll see I actually have a whole bunch of stuff favorited. Anything that is currently favorited, I'm working on. And you'll see once things have become done, at my definition of done, they become unfavorited and drop down into everything else. So let's take a look at why things are in here. So, my current plan for farming. Han Solo. He's getting relics. He hits like a truck. Simple. Done. He's not done. He's my #1 priority. Dooku's up here because GOTB. I don't like him up here, but he's up here. Carth. I'm technically still focusing on Carth. Technically. He has reached the power level for the Malak event. I don't think he needs to be G12, but there is a plan in place. Technically, I'm already breaking my rule. I'm not super focusing on him, but he hasn't reached my definition of done yet. He's just a lower priority right now. Same thing with CAD. He's gonna reach G12 someday, but these are not of greater importance. They're of more importance elsewhere. Same thing here. Just too many stun guns and golden eyeballs to actually do anything here. Etc., etc. I could go through everything. I'm not going to go through everything, but essentially I can boil it down to 3 or 4 important teams that I'm currently working on. And notice I say teams. So first off is the arena, which, oh hey, look at you. So the arena squad is always your #1 priority, no matter what. Everything else stems from having a good arena squad. So your best mods, your best gear, if they're not, you know, G13, you should be focusing on your arena squad at all points in time. Unless you're super getting ready for another arena squad, but even then, get your crystals now, and then you get more materials later. So, things that are in my favorites list, your arena squad, currently my Geonosians, Separatist droids, and then I have my First Order, my Resistance, my Ewoks, and then pilots. And technically I said that was like 3 things. It's like 7 things. Don't worry. Priorities. We'll talk about priorities too. Priorities are important. So that sounds like I'm focusing on a lot. And yeah. Basically, priorities are based on your feelings. In the end, no one can tell you, even though I just tried to told you, no one should actually tell you what your priority should be. My priorities are anything for arena, ship arena, and then whatever is best for the good of the guild. And along the way, that just happens to be that I've pulled into Kyber in Grand Arena. And we'll go back to that. So the big important thing that I want you to take away is looking through here, even on the units that I currently have as set as my focus, there is a lot of green pluses. That's because even though these units are all my focus, they're not always the focus for gear. For example, Sabine is in here just because I am slowly but surely getting her to 100 shards. Kind of the same thing with a lot of these, actually. I'm just like, I'm slowly sharding people more than gearing right now. I am gearing, but I'm sharding different people. My eventual goal is to have everybody at full shards. Oh, and something I meant to put in here. Your definition of done is talking about the full squad. So if I take a step back for a second. We're not when you're farming in this game, farming singular toons, characters, or ships doesn't advance you. Farming squads does. So when you decide you want to focus on somebody, you should be focusing on an entire team rather than a singular person or a singular unit. This is, again, a large suggestion rather than a hard and fast rule. Like, let's look at Han Solo. I'm not focusing on Han Solo because of my Rebels team. I'll show you my Rebels squad. It's currently this. It's not good, let's say. I'm focusing on Han simply because he will make this squad more usable by being at a relic level. It's as simple as that. I could not focus on Han, but if we go back to looking at all of these different areas where you can get equipment and incrementals, it made sense to me to have one unit that I'm looking to get to relics right now. So, all in all, that's my current plan. That's everything that I have marked as a favorite. And, we can take a look down at, there are people that I'm currently not working on. Like Juhani. She's G10. She helps me unlock Darth Revan. She's done. She's not necessary anymore. To me, it's not worth putting anything more into her. Simple as that. She has reached my definition of done. Same thing for right now, my Phoenix squad. They're all in that G9 to G11 range. They helped me unlock Thrawn. They're done. The majority of my first order are the same way. They got 7-star BB-8, and they're done. Now, in a couple months, priorities can shift, and focus can shift. But let's, in the beginning, focus on one thing, or focus on one or two things, prioritize, and go from there. So let's talk about these kind of things. Like, the big one is events. What do we get out of events? Well, we have a whole bunch of characters that are legendary only, or event only characters. And all of those have some amount of prerequisites. So eventually you have to make a decision that you want to unlock a character. At this point, let's see, that'd be too easy. At this point, the only legendary that I don't have unlocked is C3PO. And that is because I have made a conscious decision that it is not worth it at this time to invest a whole bunch of gear into Ewoks. Now, that doesn't mean that my Ewoks are off the radar. See? They're in my focus. They're just not at a high enough priority that I'm actively putting gear onto them. I have, however, been farming Wicket quite actively, 5 pulls a day, because A, stun guns, and B, you need Wicket eventually. Especially for the other event that gives Zetas. That one I'm quite actually upset at myself that I can't do yet. And we'll get there. Yeah, his Phoenix squad is terrifying. And it's not just the gear. Like, it's not just the gear on his Phoenix. The mods that this man has put on his Phoenix squad is something else. It's amazing. We can talk. I can talk about that later. I can probably actually show his mods on stream. So the cool part is, at least when it comes to farming characters for shards, is that you have a lot of energy, a lot of ways to look for shards for characters. And you can focus on characters just simply for shards before you focus on getting their gear up to a usable level. So, my current hard farm, energy farm, is Sabine once a day, Res Trooper once a day, Droideka once a day. For fleet energy, I'm putting 2 into B1 Battle Droid and 1 into Shaak Ti. Shaak Ti, I usually get only 4 attempts on her per day, but that leaves enough energy for me to get 5 attempts on B1 at the beginning of the day. I'm putting energy into Vandor Chewbacca, Wicket, and Shore Trooper, and also Jedi Knight Anakin. Over time, those will finish up. I'm not in a rush on any character right now, because I have no pressing legendary needs. I'm just taking my time, farming up shards, getting ready for doing more in GOTB, and slowly getting ready for the light side half. I mean, technically, I'm also preparing for Padme. And then Cantina-wise, all my energy is going into Sith Trooper. After Sith Trooper, I have a decision to make, and that's either finishing up Jedi Knight Anakin faster, or trying to finish up L337 so that I can actually have a usable Scoundrel squad on defense. And then ship-wise, I'm currently not really focusing on ships because my fleet is fairly meta, and we'll see once Negotiator comes out how I want to handle things after that. If you do not have Millennium Falcon unlocked, you should just have Millennium Falcon unlocked. It's free crystals in Fleet Arena. It really is. So let's see. So that's my normal Cantina ship energy. Mod energy. You have to go between farming new mods and upgrading the mods that you currently have. In the next couple weeks, I'm probably going to talk about mods, or do a deeper dive onto mods. How do you determine what a good mod is versus what kind of mods are you looking for? That kind of stuff. As for right now, my farming pattern for mods is 1 week in mod battles getting slicing materials and 1 week farming new mods. And at the end of this second week farming new mods, I figure out if I got any good mods that week, slice them with the sliced mods that I've got, and then repeat the cycle. And basically twice a month I have a couple good mods to add into my mod rotation. Huh. Yeah, no, my squad arena, now my squad arena is not the best because I don't pay for things like relics right now. I'm not really focusing on relics right this second. I'm getting other stuff up to the G12 usable level. But my arena team has trouble staying in the 200s, or in the, if I dip into the top 200, it doesn't stay there for very long. But my ship squad, it just kind of sits in the top 10 usually. So I've got a weird, I've got a weird shard, I think. My shard has just decided it's not very active on fleet. I can't even get a fleet, like a shard chat going. They don't care. So I don't know. So let's see. So that's my focus. Now, like I said at the beginning, my focus is going to be very different from your focus, whoever you are. Because everyone who is playing this game is a unique person. You have unique likes, you have unique wants, have unique, hey, this is cool, you have unique, Rose sucks and shouldn't be in this game, so I'm never going to unlock her. That kind of stuff. You have unique everything. And within a certain point, that can be accepted and used. hey, 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 hey. That's not my point of view. I'm just saying that that's not my point of view. But that could be somebody's. I know it's somebody's. So how do you decide what you want to focus on? Well, at some point you have to have a goal in mind. What would you like to do? You want to collect things? Are you a collector? Do you want to finish up legendaries? Focus on certain legendaries. Get, you know, get ahead of the meta, catch up. Depends on your life cycle in the game as well. If you are a 1 million GP player who only started playing 6 months ago and is just now getting to the point where you could think about farming up for legendaries, which legendary do you go for first? That kind of stuff. There's for that you can have guides. But if you're a 5 million GP player who's been playing since launch and your ideas of farming is what character do I get to R7 next? That uh, means that you're coming in with a much different mindset from someone who is just trying to gain their foothold inside the game. Um, so I can't necessarily give you any hard or fast guidance in there, other than you have to figure out what your goal is and then figure out the best path to get there. Um, so, are you building squads because your guild is currently focusing on something like territory war or GOTB, and you missed a star by 900,000 points? So it's like if you had gotten one more wave or two more waves, you would have been able to get another star. And do you take that into account? You probably should take that into account a little bit. Is that the end of the world if your guild is focusing really hard on territory war right now and you decide that you're going to do something to improve your own um, squad, or you're going to take a month and focus on getting another legendary? That's not necessarily lay. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Um, Depending on the guild that you're in, obviously, but at some point you have your priorities. Um, you want to focus on arena. Do you want to focus on grand arena? We talked last week how you had to have priority when you're choosing what mods, what teams you want to have your best mods on, how you need to do that on a team level. It's the same thing with farming. You have to decide, and at the end of the day, what is your priority versus what is your, you know, stuff that you don't care about. Getting yourself getting yourself there in the most efficient manner is something that other people can help with. But where you want to go is something that only only here can tell you. Only only here. So with that in mind, let's drop over into Discord land. And yes, I did. Because only your heart can tell you where you really want to go. You're welcome for the terrible metaphor. So we head over into Discord land. If you need help deciding what you should farm or where you think you should focus, ask. But when you ask, your guild, or when you ask other people in general, how do we go about asking? Let's say, dude, here's what we don't do. Hey guys, what should I farm next? Let's not do that. And I'll tell you why. Well, actually, I've already told you why. Because you're unique. If you go, hey, what should I farm next? That's not enough information to go off of. You're going to get bad advice that probably doesn't fit what you want to do. Always Agna. Yes. So, when you go to ask, think about it. Go to your roster. You go, well, I have an idea. It's been a while. I haven't gotten C3PO yet. And I really think that C3PO is important. So maybe I should go for that. Oh, but look, all my Geonotions are G10. Well, they're not really doing that hot in GOTB. So maybe I should focus on those instead. Oh, but maybe I want to be getting ahead of the meta. So maybe I should really start focusing on my clones. My clones. Which one of those should I do? That's the question that you want. So, let's get rid of who should I farm next and turn it into, well, I have an idea. What do you guys think is best? Should I work on my Geonosians? My Ewoks for C3PO? Or my clones, because LSTB is coming soon. And Magenta hit on exactly why my farming plan is the way that it is. Shards are the one, while the others. If you don't want to do that, well, if you're in the syndicate right now, you have a couple of places you can do that. You could do that in general chat. You could do that in Who Should I? You can do that in your own individual general chats for your guild. If you're in Crimson Dawn, you can have your own little small group. If you only want, a few people to see, because, you're shy or you're self-conscious and you don't want to attack on all of them. Or you don't want to, you know, talk to a lot of people or put your thoughts out there. This kind of stuff, when you start thinking about everything as a goal centric your everything in this game turns into means to an end rather than oh shiny, ooh shiny, ooh shiny, ooh shiny. And that was one of the problems with last year, when they put out like 20 marquees in 4 months, is that you had the ooh shiny syndrome all over. Something that's really nice right now is you have fairly set farming paths. Eventually those marquees led towards Malik. And you did need to have all of them. But that also comes back to what we were talking about with money versus time. If you're not willing to spend money to get there first, you have to just accept that. You just have to accept that you're not necessarily going to get there first. So let's see. So what do you guys think should be best? And so that's the kind of thinking that I want to lead you towards. Finally, since this is technically a bot and tool focused series, let's talk about a couple of tools that you can use when you're looking at farming. So the first one is a Crimson Dawn specific tool. Bring back Leo from last week, or the mixtape. In any of the Crimson Dawn channels, if you just say -farm and then put your in-game name in, you'll get a list of what we as a guild or we as officers have decided that we think that you could focus on. So things like Chewbacca, Geonosian Brood Alpha, a lot of the legendaries, Treya, things for GOTB, those kind of stuffs. Malik, C3PO, etc. You'll get a list of their current status, so you can kind of keep tabs on yourself over time. Within a clones team, would you make all 501st with Shaak Ti leader? Would you go all clones and leave Ahsoka out? So personally, I haven't done enough testing with that. But I've heard that the Shaak Ti lead is good to start as a focus on. So then, the other tool that I really wanted to mention, that can help guide you on teams is, if you're a little bit familiar with DSR bot. I know we were talking about that last week. So the DSR bot prefix is the comma, and they have a command that is panic, and we'll see if it gives a list. Help panic. I'm not in the. Okay, so if you're in the right channel, you can get a readout of a bunch of different teams. So Panic Me, Malik. So now, here's a readout of all of the requisite parts, required parts for Darth Malik. And DSR bot is actually really nice. It gives a little red shading if it thinks that your character is not ready. So like here, I'm ready for Malik at this point. But they have this for, I believe, most of the legendaries now. So Panic Me, Thrawn. 5 out of 6. We're good. Panic Me, Padme. Yeah, not so good, but we're working on it. There is an Alliance bot channel. In the Syndicate General, there is a bot commands. If you have not registered before, it's register and then your ally code. So like, it's thank you, DSR bot. If you put in your ally code there, you can then use me in any one of those places. So that will give you a good goal-centric way of thinking. Yeah, you have all of these different goals in mind. You know, so like one of my big goals right now is getting my Geonosians to the point where they can do the WAP mission. The WAP mission. And that'll become, so that's important to me. A lot of my gear right now is going onto the Geonosians, other than the gear that's going onto my Sith Trooper. That's really all the tools that I have in mind. This is a much more theory-heavy lecture, but yeah. So really, if I have one, if you just listened to me wander around for an hour and talk and whatever, keep one thing in mind from tonight, and that's in this game, figure out where you want to go and stay on target. Focus. It will, in the end, lead to great things. You know, if you try to spread yourself too thin, you end up with you end up with an entire roster that looks like this. And this is bad. Don't do this. Keep your roster slim, keep your roster lean, put gear on characters with a purpose. Make it to your end goal. And then win. Get Jedi Ray. Win. And that's it for tonight's lecture portion, at least. So now, questions? Anything you want me to go into more detail about? Any other bot-related questions for right now? In the meantime, I'll just leave. I'll just leave Watt up here. Can the bots help with mods? A little bit. So like I mentioned last week, you can look at what mods are recommended by people. So there's two big tools. You can either put a % in front of mods, or you can put a semicolon in front of mods, and then you put the character name that you're looking for help on. So since we're talking about mods, or we're talking about Watt, so mods on Watt and mods on Watt. In this case, these guys agree. Honestly, it depends on what interface you're looking for. A little bit. So, depending on what you're looking for. Yeah, you can do a /mods. So I believe this works for like as long as your thing is in the AR-15 channel, or the AR whatever. What is this? What is the bot? It's the AP5R. That'll show you your current mods on that character. It's the AP5R. I think, does it also do like stats? It'll make it nice and shiny. Yep, you have mod check from last week. Technically, you also have you have guild mod check. So I'm just about to shame everybody in my guild who doesn't have mods on their characters.